Welcome in, folks. You are just in time for Inner Guided Reading with May, and today we're using tarot cards to answer the 4 vital emotional spirits that need consistent attention. Finding hope, maintaining faith, discovering love, and holding on to strength. How's it going, folks? Today, we're doing that first by clearing our mind and tending to the sacred space where we hold emotion. And then we ask the question to bring attention to each emotional cog and make sure that the machine, our soul, is running correctly in the way that it is, by bringing our shadows to light. So buckle up and get ready for inner and outer shadows to be exposed, and we figure the best way to address them. Lastly, we expose the shadows of the world, how we can help illuminate them further with discussion. And if you've been here, thank you for the support. Don't forget to join the Rat Pack, where in the month of November, you will all be filled in with exclusive Rosie the Rat birthday videos. Alright, so now that we know what the core value of our live is today, topic, we're going to meditate right off the bat. We're going to meditate with the affirmation is, I am in control of my emotions and hold no contrition for how others project theirs to me. That is the main affirmation. I am in control of my emotions and hold no contrition. I like the word. I chose this word specifically because I didn't like the word guilt as the word. I didn't like the shame. I didn't like the personal responsibility. That's what we're trying to let go of. So I found the word that encompasses all 3 of those into this one, contrition. It really just, I hold no personal regret. I hold no shame. I hold nothing, no responsibility for how this person acts towards me whenever I am in a confrontational situation, or really when I'm just standing up for myself in general. We can be wary of how others are acting and think that we can change them. And I'm, slowly coming to that conclusion that, nobody's going to work on themselves until they're really ready to work on themselves. And I'm only in control of my emotions. I am the only person that's looking out for me. You hear? There's nobody else but myself watching out for me, truly. You can have your friends, you can move forward with how you support your besties and how they support you. But at the end of the day, you're really only truly there for yourself. Feel this emotional intelligence take over and rationalize your world. Breathe in, repeat the affirmation in your head. Breathe out and repeat it aloud with me. We're going to repeat this 4 times total, or whatever your birth number is. If you know applying numbers to magic is a good way to remember the connections to the self and the mundane. So we're using 4 as just a base. That's a lot of, it's a common birth number. I'm going to go from there and start there. So we're going to breathe in. Think about that emotion, think about that information, think about that logical feeling that you get when you realize that you're in control of your emotions and that you are in no control of how others project theirs onto you. You hold no ill will for how people react to you. You hold no shame for how the world treats you, as long as you treat the world with genuine love, care, assurance, and especially to yourself. You tend to the heart self, and you tend to your emotions first. Repeat this 4 times. I am in control of my emotions, and I hold no contrition for how others project theirs onto me. I am in control of my emotions, and hold no contrition for how others project theirs onto me. I am in control of my emotions and hold no contrition for how they project theirs onto me. Last one. I am in control of my emotions and hold no contrition for how others project theirs onto me. Logical feeling that you get when you realize that you're in control of your emotions and that you are in no control of how others project theirs onto you. You hold no ill will for how people react to you. You hold no shame for how the world treats you, as long as you treat the world with genuine love, care, assurance, and especially to yourself. You tend to the heart self. and tend to your emotions first. Remember that the magic is a good way to have those connections to the self and the mundane. Once you're done, once you feel you're more in control to the things you can control and no longer feel anxious or guilty about how those around you behave, this is very similar to energy cutting. So if you have a particular individual in mind that gives you this kind of anxiety, the kind where you're walking on eggshells all the time, repeat this mantra. Repeated our affirmation 4 times. Repeated the affirmation that I am in control of my emotions. And now we move on to the tarot. When I work with tarot for you all, I work with the idea that we are all connected energetically through the universe, so that I know when I'm going through a rough time and have questions, so does the rest of the world, And it would be foolish to not notice the turmoil and violence we are all going through in some form, some type of fashion. But we ask the real questions, then move forward in solidarity to heal. We never stop fighting. Just because we see hope doesn't mean she's a casual stroll away. No, that means we fight harder and we build even more base of support. We allow for more redemption and rehabilitation. We make more awareness to those who remain on the wrong side of history. Tonight we embark on the question: what can we do to make our current situation better for ourselves? What can we do to make our current situation better for ourselves without making super harsh, rash decisions? Last week was the full moon. We did a reading, and we had to make some sharp decisions. And I know we're still feeling anxious about it, though. The tarot cards told us what to do. The universe was, very, very, very clear on what needs to be done. But can we figure out an accommodation? Can we figure out ways to help the internal self come clean first? So when I work with tarot for you all, I work with the idea that we're all connected energetically through the universe, and that whenever I'm going through a hard time, I know other people are going through a hard time. And so I want to ask the real questions so that we can move forward in solidarity and, see that we're not all alone, build our community, and, allow for redemption and rehabilitation. I pull off the basis of seeking guidance and asking a question because I'm looking for a question, and I'm very connected that, I'm asking a question, and I firmly believe in the fact that we're all connected spiritually, energetically, when I'm seeking. I feel like we have big decisions. We have very big decisions to make right now, but we're kind of still anxious, and I want to figure out the baby steps. We're taking the baby steps of sharp decisions instead of making quick, sharp decisions. So now we're going to get on to the reading. The reading is going to be a 4-card pool, and I understood, that we're going to embark on this question. What can we do to make our current situation better for ourselves? So in the thinking that we can stay where we're at and still better it and still get us at a point to ready ourselves to make that chapter finally end. Because we're reading this book, we're in this book, writing it, and we can't quite make that chapter end because we're not ready to let go of certain characters, we're not ready to let go of certain energies. Yeah, should I walk away? It's going to allow for a baby step approach to where we can set ourselves up for success without getting too uncomfortable. That's how I'm feeling right now. So one card is going to be finding hope. The second card is going to be maintaining faith, discovering love, and then holding on to strength. When I was doing this, though, finding hope felt most like a Mercury type of direction, whenever we're thinking about our alignment in our birth charts. This is kind of the direction I feel it's going on. And then when we get maintaining faith, I feel like that's our moon. Discovering love, that's Venus. Holding on to strength, that could be the sun. I'm a Leo, so I'm definitely going to be looking out for those cards anyway. What is the bottom of the card? Bottom of the deck. It's Justice reversed. Upside down in reverse. You got to really physically look at these cards, and really just take the symbols at heart. You've got your balance beam. With this being upside down, you know, that can very indicate your balance being offset. You know, you're not putting your eggs versely in the baskets. You know, you're not promoting a balanced, healthy routine. And then we've got this sword. When it's in reverse, you know, you can quite literally think of that you stabbing yourself in the throat. Yeah, in the throat, in the, you know, where you speak, where you stand up for yourself, where you hold that energy. You know, the mouth, the teeth is also where you speak. Yeah, and people have been getting that dental work lately, so just kind of think about that. Are you putting your eggs in the right baskets? Are they being balanced? Are you making sure you're doing the right things? You know, I've got a thing for that. My ADHD patootie always likes to make this song called Too Many Steps. You know, I go too many steps, it takes too many steps. I gotta do the laundry, but first I gotta take it out the bag, and then I gotta take it to the laundromat, across the town. That's too many steps. I'm not even done from there. It's too many steps. You know what I mean? Like, that alone is enough to overwhelm me. Like, I just completely, people are like, oh, just break it down, you know, step by step. No. In fact, that makes it worse. That makes it seem like it's going to take way longer than it needs to for me. If I could make it as simple as possible, that's actually better out for me. So I think this is kind of that idea where you need to balance it. You need to balance your ideas, your thoughts, your practices, your routines, your work, your hygiene. You know, you need to be clean. You need to do those things. I'm guilty of certain things. You know, we're all guilty of depression. It's October. The Burr months are coming. And so yeah, we're gonna do 4 cards, and whichever emotional connection you resonate with is your card. So if you're trying to find hope, you know, that's the card you're gonna resonate with. If you're trying to maintain your faith, maintain your beliefs, hold on to that the world is good, you know? If you're trying to discover inner love, self-love, love for the neighbor, you know, if you're trying to be a better person overall, that card will be for you. If you're trying to hold on to strength, if you're trying to find just anything to keep going, if all you can do is wake up, maybe drink some water, use the bathroom, and munch on some peanuts, that's still a good day, Bookie. You know, we're gonna help you find some more strength today. This card will be for you. So this is for finding hope. You know, with the 3 of Wands, you're in the desert by yourself with 3 big sticks behind you. You're looking off into this distance, like, you know, straight on. That's usually to the inner self, right? When you're looking straight on, you're looking to the inner. How's it going, Tiffy, baby girl? You know? And then right behind it is the 8 of Swords. So there's something restricting you from going here and collaborating the way you need to. You know, you need to have travel. You're looking for some sort. When you're finding hope, you need to find it elsewhere. The 3 of Wands, you know, you want this collaborative work, you want this spiritual connection with other members in your coven, but you're just, you know, this is right behind it, and that's keeping you from your true potential. Man, do I know what that means. This could be anything, you know, not just people. This could be physical attributes, this could be mental debilitations, but, you know, the 8 of Swords really indicates a lot of these connections that are holding you down. You know, it's the self, it's the people, it's society, it's this and that, you know, the 8 of Swords. But the 8 of Swords does indicate that perspective that you can have on the world, you know, that's holding you back. If you maybe switched that perspective a little bit, you could probably get yourself out of there easier than you think. If you held or, you know, if you let go of certain energy, it would be a lot easier than intuition, Bookies. You're very smart, intellectual women. Use that power, and don't be scared, you know, just use your resources. If you're ready to make that jump, you'll be ready, but use your intuition. You'll know. In the world, you know, that's holding you back. If you maybe switched that perspective a little bit, you could probably get yourself out of there easier than you think if you held, or you know, if you let go of certain energy. It would be a lot easier than you think. You know, it's not coming across, you know, last week we were making we were being told to make very quick, sharp, keen decisions. This is just really elaborating the fact that those decisions aren't as complicated. Yeah, follow your intuition to get out card. Yeah, like, you got to change their perspective and follow your own intuition, because again, that inner self is the only person that's going to be able to get you through what you need to do. You know, you're the only person that's going to be able to snap yourself out of it, realize what you need to do for your betterment, and just do it. You know, no one's truly your biggest cheerleader other than yourself at the end of the day, baby girl. And then these two were kind of sticking on me, so we're going to take these two. Oh, I think I've seen a glimpse. Syrian probably knows what it is just from the colors. It's good to see you all. Yes, it's good. Oh, what's this? Temperance. Oh, you gotta fill your own cup. How many times do we hear this? How many times do we hear this within a day, within our own circle? You know, that we need to fill our own cup. We need to be logical in our own thoughts, and we need to trust our intuition, like with the Eight of Swords. We need to be emotionally careful for ourselves and go in there. The Knight of Pentacles. Be logical. Be strong. And be demanding of the boundaries, the physical boundaries. Yes, the alchemy card. Like wizardrum, like inner power. Yeah. Inner sanctity. You know, we've got this lush greenery around this angel, you know, and we've got this third eye. Yeah, creating elements. Yeah, working with what you've got. Yeah, you know, you've got yourself, you've got the things around you, you know, shifting your perspective and making things better out for yourself. And just going in there with the Knight of Pentacles right behind it, you know, going on that journey. You're looking to the right, so you're looking to the outwards. Yeah. So you're working with what you got to find hope, to get yourself on this journey. Shift your perspective. You'll be on this journey. And really just keep going to this direction of setting strong boundaries for yourself, and not allowing people to be in your head, and not allowing, you know, the nonsense that people are trying to feed you and the fear that they're trying to oppress upon you. Don't allow that, okay? The pentacles can represent money sometimes, but it also just really represents that physical world universe, works with that, you know, what you got mentality. You know, it's kind of in that same messaging. That it really loves to give me 2 cards for each message, so that I really get the point. It really gets the point across for me, so that I can really give that read. You know, this card kind of explains this card in the way that I would explain it, if that makes sense, with the emotional flair, with the emotional fill, you know, creating what you've got with what you got. I used to, you know, I was poor all the time, you know, people know that. I would make food literally from the pantry, and from nothing out of anything. And, you know, you have to be resourceful. You have to just really take the people that you have and utilize them. You know, don't use them, utilize them. Don't be possessive. Be supportive, and I'm thinking of a better P word, but you know, just try, whatever. Yes, okay, yes. It's almost midnight here. Gorsh for discovering love. You know, the 7 of Cups really represents that options that you have on the table. The 9 of Cups, though, doesn't the 9 of Cups just like straight up call you a hoe? And like in the fact that, you know, you're overwhelmed. You've got too many emotional cups. You've got too many cups to fill. That's just way too many cups to fill. And you're not focusing on your own cup. You see how this man is just pouty? He's got all these kids behind him, and he's taking them all to prom. He's got to take them all through college. He's got to do all that, you know. Well, he ain't got himself his own Ferrari when he was middle-aged. He didn't get himself his boat, his yacht. You know, you need to focus on yourself is what this card is, you know, ultimately saying. It always says that, you know, you have a lot of love for people, and you can accept that love for people. You can be very proud that you love for people. You can be very proud that you hold that heart, you know, that space for people. But at the end of the day, you're stretching yourself thin. You're not feeling enough anyway. You know, I full-heartedly believe whenever you're a parent, 2 kids, 3 kids is way too many, but you know, once you have too many kids, how can you possibly love them equally enough? How could you possibly emotionally provide for them the security that they need? If that makes any sense. That's what this card is ultimately saying, though, is that you can't fill so many cups. Okay, this one. We got, ooh, what's this? The 3 of Pentacles for holding on to strength. The last card is the 3 of Pentacles. When we think of the Pentacles, we can't just think of financial, but we think of, you know, the physical possessions, the physical world, the material world, all those things are crazy. All right, you can't just not do nothing, you know? You can't just not do nothing. But what else we've got? You know, this gentleman is with a woman, covered up. We got another one that looks like he's working hard, working on this cathedral. You know, you're at this place of worship, you're somewhere supposedly safe, confined, and private. So you should be safe enough to ask for help. You should be able to be strong enough to accept vulnerability. We kind of do a general read for the collective, and whichever spirit that you need most tending to is the one that you resonate with. We find hope, we maintain faith, we discover love, and we hold on to strength. If you are discovering any sort of love right now, love yourself, fill your own cup. You're filling way too many cups right now. If you are looking for motivation and for strength, be vulnerable enough to ask. Don't worry about if Gabby has interest in you. Worry about if you have interest in you, baby girl. Worry if you have interest in yourself to have the confidence enough to allow Gabby to even be interested in the first place. That's the message that we get from that. That's the message that we receive from that sentiment, is that we need to love ourselves. We need to fill our cup. We're doing way too many things for way too many people, and we need to settle down, figure out what's important, and lock in, lock in, ask for help when it's necessary, be vulnerable, be strong enough to be vulnerable, and keep fighting. Voice yours. Yes, thank you. Voice your voice out to the voiceless, especially, you know, we relate to the mundane, and you gotta realize it's okay to ask for help when you're not as strong as you need to be. It's okay to seek partnership when it's beneficial, when you need it the most, when you need to seek out work, get to work. All right, you know, when you're holding on to strength, if you aren't employed, if you're not doing something that you're passionate about, you're gonna go stir crazy. All right, you can't just not do nothing, you know. You can't just not do nothing. We just got done doing the tarot read, and now we're kind of gonna apply to the read to real world application. We're gonna be talking about 3 different things that are in current events. So for current events and how our cards reflect the need of the collective, lets us look at what's going on in domestic and foreign politics of the United States so that we can find hope, maintain faith, hold out for strength, and discover love and light. I first want to talk about the Freedom Frogs in Portland. I've got so many friends around in Washington, in the Pacific Northwest area. I wanna ask if anybody has encountered a Freedom Frog, or if anybody's been a part of the protests and the stuff like that. You know, the news portrays as riots and threatening and trained combatants, but you know, the people I'm watching, I'm watching this, and I'm seeing mascots in inflatable suits getting pepper sprayed through the access hole. You know, I'm watching perfectly peaceful protests take on until the aggregation sets in place. Meanwhile, families are being ripped apart from the facilities that these very frogs are protesting. It is insane. And people are like, oh, just be peaceful. Oh, well, you block the road. Oh, your sign is too derogatory. Oh, they don't want our voices to be heard. They just want us to shut up. Okay? They don't care that our families are being ripped apart. They just want to go about day-to-day life and not be affected. But little do they know, it's a trickling effect, all right? Once one group of people's rights are taken away, the next people, and then the next people, and the next people, and they're not waking up at all. And so the Freedom Frogs, I hope, stay in history and don't get erased by the wrong people. And that's why we need to keep fighting, so that we see Freedom Frog in our children's text. That's why we apply the Three of Wands for community, voices to be heard, spiritual connection, spiritual skills, spiritual assets, and we follow our own intuition, okay? We don't listen to what the nonsense that the media is trying to push us anymore, because we can't believe it. We truly cannot believe it. And moving on to how we can't believe it, what if we want to sign with me? We're having our baby next month. So the Nine of Cups, baby girl, you need to focus on you and your baby before you worry about whether or not he's going to stick around, whether or not they're going to be there for you. You need to focus on yourself, your well-being, your health, all of those things for you and your child before you even concern yourself with anything like that. That's the message that we're going on for today when it comes to discovering love and discovering our genuine self. You need to realize that you are in control of your emotions, and you cannot hold any shame. You cannot hold any guilt, anxiety, or any pressure to feel bad about how they project their emotions onto you. You're in control of yours. You're not in control or any blame or any shame, any sort of responsibility of other people's emotions. Freedom Frogs, you know, they're awesome. I love them. We're moving on now to how the media has made it seem like hope is coming, and while finding hope is very crucial, and there has been, you know, a seeming, oh boy, it's gonna make me do the puzzle, about how they project their emotions onto you. You're in control of yours. You're not in control or any blame or any shame, any sort of responsibility of other people's emotions. Freedom Frogs, you know, they're awesome. I love them. We're moving on now to how the media has made it seem like hope is coming, and while finding hope is very crucial, and there has been, you know, a seeming. So we're going to talk about the ceasefire now. True ceasefire may never exist, but the more eyes and continued protest will continue to cost more money. We need to think about this logically, all right? This is the only way that I think that we can even sort of get some progress on this. But I first anticipate that the U.S. ran out of artillery. It's all money. Artillery to provide and remain secure themselves. Think about Iran. Think about the main reason why they stopped over there. It wasn't because they all of a sudden felt bad. It wasn't because, you know, their own troops were getting hurt. No, it's because they ran out of weapons. It's because they ran out of enough to bombard and hurt these victims even further. That's the only real reason. You know, the oil that they're pushing for, they're still trying to, you know, invade that. You know, all the countries that we're providing artillery for. I anticipate the U.S. ran out of artillery to provide and remain secure. And the only way that we can give Palestine people true peace is to probably just leave Israel high and dry and convince Trump that he's being bitched around and costing himself too much money by continuing this war. Because I don't think, this might be a hot take, I just think at this point, letting them run out of resources, providing aid to the Gaza Strip, you know, that is now 53% contained, providing aid and only aid is I think the you know humanitarian, medical supplies, food, those like about the only things that we should be implementing. And if Trump was even somewhat smart, which, you know, he's not, we already know this, but if he was even somewhat smart, he would pull out of this and impose tariffs on Israel, and it would be that simple. If he was any smart, he would be imposing, you know, but. And then getting gas, getting fuel from other countries, getting fuel from Iran and shit again. Costing, you know, being as logical as we can about it, I think is going to be the way we see it. A ceasefire, true indictment, you know, or we've had indictment from the FCC, but we're not seeing any actual results from it because the United States isn't backed behind it. And if we can somehow convince Trump that it's his idea to let go of Israel, then the Palestinian people might have some sort of hope. And then the last one, which is, you know, Not as devastating as the G side, but it is still pretty devastating. We've got the continued impact of big corporations and non-renewable energy on the planet, and Alaska is breaking apart and floating away, y'all. Homes are seen floating into the ocean, and this is mainly impacting indigenous tribes by the water, and they have nowhere to go. So, of course, there's not as much coverage on it. Of course, there's not as much voices being heard on it. All we can really do is, anytime we see something on TikTok, anytime we see something on YouTube, or make our own videos. Yeah, we won't see this on TV. We need to talk about what's going on in Alaska. We need to keep talking about what's going on in Palestine, and we need to keep going on with what's going on in these ice facilities. The Nine of Cups, like I said, really represents all these emotions that we're tending to, and how we should really tend to ourselves, balance that need first. Then we can work on, focusing on these things. But giving the voice to the voiceless is self-love. You got to remember that too. In any small moment that you can, you're going to give a voice to someone that was oppressed like you have been. You're going to give a voice to somebody that is way more worse off than you are, and maybe you don't have the funds to donate or help or do something like that. Hot take as well, activism, the voices and not going out to the protests, just being a show activism. I forget the word right now, not actually doing nothing, you're just not actually doing nothing, you're just saying that things need to be done. I think if you provide real communication, real information, and real exposure to what's going on, that can provide enough, effort of change to get somebody else to change, or to find another resource to get yourself to help others as well. You can't be apathetic about what is happening in the world. This ceasefire is propaganda. We know that. We had a journalist, a very well-veteraned journalist of Palestine, taken off the planet after 2 days of the ceasefire, and because of that, we're gonna have one less soul on here that was fighting the good fight, and it's a shame. That's really all that it is, but we have to keep fighting for those people because they didn't stop until the very end, and so we can't stop. Can't stop giving awareness, because loving these people is loving yourself as well. Filling my cup means educating myself on what's going on, and then educating my friend, educating you all, doing whatever I can to provide some sort of platform. I may only have 3,100 followers, but if I repost it, that video, there's a chance, and that's, the tiniest thing you can do. Thank you. What I wanted to say, we're exposing these shadows of what's going on, what we ought to do, and how we can go about it in baby steps. Whether real world or internal knowledge, we can soak this up in a small way and bring about action in a small but impactful way, like so impactful. There's good news to be had in the world. There's still always good news, and we can still find hope in the bad news as well. But where was I going with that? I hope you all enjoyed this live. Thank you so much for the likes, the gifts, the insight, the overall support. I don't go live very often. I've been trying to go live once a week now on TikTok for Tarot Tuesday. I want to keep our spirits and our shadows illuminated on a daily basis. That's why I've got the journal. If anybody wants to purchase it, I'm not sure if it'll actually let anybody. I haven't had anybody have any issues or anybody try yet. So if y'all are just curious enough to try, go ahead. It's about $15. I have that journal to encompass the whimsy with the mundane by promoting grounding and self-reflection, and it's a nice journal to really just jot down your thoughts too. It really just has a spot right there to, are you in line with yourself? How are you feeling today? It's got that right there in there. It's an open journal. It doesn't have any dates. It doesn't have, it has a dates section, but it doesn't have set dates. So it's ADHD friendly. You can pick it up, fill it out whenever, however you want, and I really like it. For my personal first passion project, I think I did something pretty okay for my inner teen, something that I really liked. So check it out. You can also download just the page if you just want to print it out, check it out, see if you like it before you purchase the book. And if you're not already please check out my Discord server, my space. I don't have it set up at the moment, but next week I'm hoping to be able to just link it through the fan club, and y'all can join through there. But if you go through my bio and check it out, check out the Ritual Rhythms Connection Station. It is full of wonderful people. Syrian's in there, Orion's in there, we've got our Care Bears, you know, that's what we've got going on. We've got weekly meditation, we've got body doubling hangout times, we've got partake sessions, we've got tarot times, we've got all sorts, you know. We drop the esoteric knowledge bombs, we do the social growth in there, and we do events, you know. We do all sorts of stuff. We just showcase our art and give everybody a space to be wonderful people, because that's what you all are. You're just wonderful people. Oh, thank you, Trix. Oh, yes. Oh, 10K likes. Wonderful. You guys are wonderful. Thank you. I will go ahead and wrap it up. This was a wonderful live. I went from 97% to 55% battery. So just to put it in perspective, how crazy this is. What else? I love you all. Thank you so much. Like, genuinely. I'm gonna try to go live again like Thursday if I can. But other than that, join my Discord. Be awesome people. Look out for the uploads tomorrow. I'm gonna try to also do Awakening Wednesday tomorrow. Tell you all about what really got me here. What made me want to join this path and go from there. I still have a lot to learn, and I love letting you all let me learn more and heal with you all. And I hope to have helped you all. So yeah, y'all have a great day, wonderful night, and I will see you all in the next one. Love you all. Bye. Bye, 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 bye.